Okay, I want to go over some healthcare issues with you. I'm in fact going to get my annual physical here, and wanted to go over some things with you on cost, and because this comes up a lot. People wanting to know about healthcare here and cost and whatever. One thing that is nice about St. Kitts and Nevis is there's a lot of people that live a long life here. If you go on the internet, somebody said they pulled up the average age of death in St. Kitts, and I forgot what it was, but it was actually pretty low. And I says, well, I don't know where you're getting that from, but all I know is there's a lot of people over 100 years old here. Now, if you eat bad, and I will say this, there's a lot of people that have bad diets here. A lot of the local people just don't eat right, and I don't know why, because it's a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables here. A lot has to do with the way you exercise, your diet, and everything else. But I can tell you, there's a lot of people over 100 years old. There was a big article on a lady that was 110 years old. This is a while back. I'm sure she's dead now, but her daughter was 90 years old. I mean, how often do you see that? That's pretty unusual, but these are the type of things that I'm talking about. There are quite a few people that are over 100 years old in St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, one thing that you got to understand, you're not going to have some of the health care that you're going to have in other places, like, for instance, advanced stuff on heart and brain and things like this. And you'll have to take a vacuum plane out if you have stuff that comes up for stuff like that. And there are places that are close by here that you can get to, pretty quick. Now, that being said, let me go over the healthcare cost, okay, which will kind of astound you. Okay, there's a doctor here. In fact, heard he's a real good doctor. I'm getting ready to change to him. He went to school in Texas, medical school there in University of Texas, and in the U.S. And he charges $50 EC for a doctor's visit. That's like $18.50 for a doctor's visit. I don't think you can find one in Panama cheaper than that. I mean, this is that's incredibly cheap. But these are just some of the the cost things that I'm talking about. It's very, very inexpensive to get health care. In fact, my average client that gets citizenship has got a net worth of at least, when I say average, the lowest almost is about like $5 million. If you've got those kind of assets, I'll be honest with you, I think you're really crazy to carry your own health insurance. I think you ought to just insure yourself. You got to remember, I was in the insurance business for about over 20 years, and I started seeing how much money insurance companies made. They make a fortune, and they make a fortune because you usually pay in a lot more than you ever collect. So I'm saying, if you've got the money saved up, most policies have $1 million US cap on them. So if you've got $5 million, I would take the chance and don't even carry the insurance and take that money and invest it. That's what I would do. I mean, that's up to you though, what you want to do there. But if you get insurance down here, it's a lot cheaper than it is in the U.S. A lot cheaper, because you don't have lawsuits here like you do in the U.S. Or just that example I gave you of $18.50 to go have an office visit. That is, if you're carrying health insurance down here, you can see the insurance companies pay very, very little for any of your bills, because the bills are not very high. And so across the board, if you feel comfortable carrying health insurance, fine. It will be a lot cheaper here than it is in the U.S., no matter what your age is. But that being said, if you, like, I'm getting ready to go to a medical clinic here, I get like an annual physical every year. And you're looking at, to get that physical, I'm over 62 years old, so it's free for me. I don't pay anything in this is a government medical clinic. This is not they do have a medical doctor at the medical clinic. And when you go to this person, you can get tests done at the hospital if you want to get like a PSA, you want to get hepatitis, if you want to get AIDS test. If you want to get all these different, they check your LDL and your cholesterol level there, and it doesn't cost anything if you're 62 and above and you're a citizen. Okay. Now, don't know if a permanent resident over 62, it would be free, but I can tell it would be very, very cheap. It'd be almost free. Okay. It's very, very low cost. Now, if you go to a dentist, you can go to a private dentist. That's going to cost you. If you go to the government dentist and you're 60 years old and over and you're a citizen of St. Kitts, it doesn't cost you anything. Okay. You can get fillings done. You can get everything, and you're not paying insurance. You don't even have to pay in the system as long as you're a citizen. Okay. So, it's a unique system. You wonder, gee, how in the world they do that with no income tax, no capital gains tax, no estate tax, no inheritance tax. Well, you can manage money a lot better in a small country than you can a big one. You got to remember, the U.S. too is policing all the wars in the world. They're going there. If there's a war somewhere, they're either directly or indirectly involved with it. It's like this Ukraine war. They're spending billions of dollars funding this Ukraine war. I hate to see people die. I really do, and I feel sorry for the situation there. But I'll be honest with you. Would Ukraine come over and fund the U.S. for the U.S.'s wars? This is where I look at it. And the U.S. can't even pay their debt for the items they've got in the U.S. So they're just funding all these wars everywhere, and no inclination of paying the money back on the dollar. It blows my mind, the money that they're forking out. And I'm reading where a lot of these weapons are being stolen, and they're being sold on the black market. Millions of dollars being made off taxpayers' dollars, going basically down a rat hole. I'm probably going to get some real disagreements on this, but you can listen on the news. They're finding out already a lot of these weapons are going on black markets, other places. Okay, you don't have, St. Kitts doesn't get involved with wars and stuff in other countries. They're just not involved with that. Well, guess what? The top 1% of the population has to pay for that. And that's you that more than likely listen to this video. So, you've got to decide if you want to continue funding a war like this and having to deal with that. And, this is an issue that you have to think about. So, but, this is, if you want to really lower your healthcare cost, because that's a huge cost in the U.S., my advice is come to St. Kitts, get citizenship here, and relinquish your other one if you're in the U.S. If you don't want to do that, qualify for the foreign overseas exclusion. You can lower your debt a lot that way. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. If you want to go that to that extreme, it just depends on what you want to do there. So my suggestion is, lower your health care cost by finding places other than where you're at. And the highest place in the world for health care costs is the USA. I can tell you that by far. I've been all over the world, and I've never found any place where the health care cost was as high as the US. And the reason is they've got contingency lawsuits. It's a mess. The healthcare system in the U.S. is a friggin' mess, cost-wise at least. So anyway, I'm here at the clinic, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this tape off. So if you got any questions, just hit the comment section below, and I would like to hear from you. Also, our website's www.citizenshipquickly.com, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the right of your screen. You get new videos automatically. Folks, we got over 700 videos. This is where you're going to pick up good tips. It's going to cut back on your cost quite a bit. And I look forward to talking to you on the next video. Take care.